This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight's political change-up. Newly elected MLAs are sworn in and the recently defeated Liberal leader steps down.
Shifting gears, a new study will explore the growing need for public transit in Colchester County.
And making mocktails. A Halifax shop serves up some alcohol-free alternatives for the holidays.
Rain and wind ramping up throughout the day on Wednesday, peaking Wednesday night in through Thursday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. It was a busy day in Nova Scotia politics. A new government was officially sworn in this afternoon at Province House.
The new government will have a record number of progressive Conservative seats, which will make up Nova Scotia's 65th General Assembly. Selena Alders reports.
Newly elected and re-elected members of Nova Scotia's legislature have officially taken their seats following last month's snap election.
To serve as an elected office holder is a profound responsibility. It requires vision, dedication, and a steadfast commitment to the public good.
A record 43 progressive Conservative MLAs were sworn in, giving Premier Tim Houston a supermajority government.
It's an incredible moment for Nova Scotia, and certainly for the PC caucus, the largest government caucus in the history of the legislature.
In a separate ceremony, 9 NDP MLAs were sworn in. That makes Claudia Chender the first elected female leader of Nova Scotia's official opposition.
I, Claudia Chender, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
The Liberals' ceremony was quiet in comparison, with only 2 Liberal MLAs sworn in. Following the swearing-in ceremonies, the legislature convened for one day only to elect a Speaker of the House. Tory MLA Danielle Barkhouse was re-elected. The House of Assembly will reconvene sometime in the new year for the spring session. Selena Alders, CBC News, Halifax.
Meanwhile, Premier Houston spoke to the press gallery for the first time today since the election. Among the topics discussed was the federal government's promised GST holiday. Houston said his recent meeting with the Prime Minister was positive.
Certainly, I mean, look, we recognize the affordability challenges that Nova Scotians are facing, that Canadians are facing. I'm very pleased we just passed in the House right now the first cut to HST in the history of this province. We did that on the first day, so that will fulfill a campaign promise that we made. We know that there's more to be done, so we'll have some details, I guess, to work out with the federal government and really understand it. But again, I think that the spirit of what they're trying to do, we certainly agree with.
Houston's cabinet is expected to be sworn in later this week.
Zach Churchill has resigned as leader of the Nova Scotia Liberal Party. The announcement follows yesterday's judicial recount in the district of Yarmouth, where Churchill lost to PC candidate Nick Hilton by 16 votes. The Liberals were reduced to just 2 seats in the November 26th provincial election.
I'm certainly sorry that I couldn't have produced better results for our candidates, our MLAs, but I am encouraged as I pass the torch on that we will continue to rebuild.
Sydney Member 2 MLA Derek Mumberket will serve as interim leader until a leadership race is held.
PC David Bowlby has been declared the winner in the electoral district of Annapolis after a judicial recount today. The recount was triggered because only 7 votes initially separated Bowlby with Liberal Cameron Kerr. Taryn Grant reports.
In a volunteer fire hall, more than 30 people carefully went through every ballot cast in the riding of Annapolis, more than 7,000 of them, to double-check the results of a close race. The count took more than 4 hours, and the outcome is unchanged. Progressive Conservative David Bowlby will go to Province House with Premier Tim Houston as part of government. Bowlby was not at the recount on Tuesday, but in Halifax, where he was sworn in along with his fellow Tory MLAs. A relief after 2 weeks of waiting for official results.
Like a breath of fresh air. This is fantastic. I want to say thank you to everybody that supported me. And I also want to say Carmen and Cheryl and Sarah a good run. It was a heck of a campaign.
Bowlby defeated one-term Liberal Carmen Kerr, who says he accepts the results.
No one ever wants to lose, especially in public, but it's part of life, and I've had 2 weeks since the election to mull it over, and I'm fine with the result.
Kerr took over after a long reign in Annapolis by former Premier Stephen McNeil. This is the first time the Tories have held the riding in more than 20 years. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Annapolis Royal.
And Ryan Snoddon with us now to talk weather.
And a gray day out there.
That's right. But, you know, this time of year, even if the weather's gray, typically there's lots of lights and festive scenes set up on front lawns like this.
Much better.
Right? But if your front lawn looks like this, best to unplug, deflate, and secure before tomorrow night, as we are really looking at some very strong winds. Santa will take flight without the reindeer tomorrow night if he's inflated like that. It is, yes, some shower activity tonight mixed with that freezing rain. Moving off to the north, we're into the warm sector tomorrow, so mild temperatures. Rain tracking in from west to east tomorrow, this first round, and this is when the winds really get ramping up, is Wednesday evening in through Thursday morning. Widespread gusts 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, but gusts exceeding 90 possible along parts of the coast, especially in through the Tri-County area. Then this front comes through, the rain kicks out, and the temperatures drop, freezing up for Friday into the weekend. All the details coming up.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Sounds lovely. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Well, the CEO of Cape Breton's Celtic Colours International Festival is offering support for the board of directors of the iconic fall event. As the CBC's Kyle Moore tells us, it comes in the wake of the dismissal of the entire board.
It's been challenging, it's been tough.
That's how the CEO of Celtic Colours describes the last few days after a meeting was held on Saturday by society members who voted to fire the event's board of directors. It's a decision Leanne Birmingham-Beddoe doesn't agree with.
The board of directors that we have are very qualified, lots of credentials. I've worked with nonprofits and in the charitable sector for a long, long time, and this is a great board.
The society raised concerns like a deteriorating visitor experience and allegations of a toxic work environment. Birmingham-Beddoe says they are doing all they can to work with members.
When I hear some of the concerns, it doesn't quite match up with what I would consider a toxic work environment, but we, continue to work. We have a human resources committee. We've had advice from human resource consultants.
There's definitely some concerns out there in terms of the future of the festival and where it's headed.
Destination Cape Breton CEO Terry Smith says Celtic Colours is vital to the tourism industry. He says for 9 days in October, hotels are full and restaurants are busy.
I think on all sides, there's a lot of very passionate people who want this festival to succeed. They might disagree on how it should go forward, but I just hope that cooler heads can prevail.
The chair of Celtic Colours says the meeting over the weekend only included about a third of the society's membership. And according to legal advice, the organizers did not follow the society's bylaws in calling the meeting.
We're looking forward to being able to talk to all the membership in the new year and give them proper notification and following the bylaws to set a full society meeting.
That meeting will be held in January. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Enforcement officers with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans will soon have a new tool to crack down on illegal lobster fishing in the Bay of Fundy. The department is looking to contract out a vessel to haul, check, and seize illegal traps. The contract represents an increase in surveillance and enforcement, where the fishing industry has called on officers to do more to deter illegal fishing operations. DFO hopes to be out on the water 3 days a week for at least a 12-hour period per patrol. The contract is set to span from January to March.
The town of Truro and the municipality of Colchester are exploring the possibility of a transit service in the region. As the CBC's Luke Ettinger reports, with a growing population, many say it's desperately needed.
The town of Truro and municipality of Colchester have been awarded over $100,000 in federal funding to look at transit service. The county currently has a population of over 51,000.
We don't have enough drivers, not enough vehicles.
Colchester Transportation Cooperative Limited currently provides a pre-booked transit service to the entire county. Executive Director Sue Taylor says a fixed route service was attempted in the early 2000s, but times have changed.
I think there's more and more of a need for it now with more immigrants that have come to the area. Dal AC is very, very busy, so they've got lots of students in there. There's more people going to work and not wanting to get a car.
Michelle Wood is the founder of the Lemonade Stand Society, a group formed to bring people with disabilities together.
We have the CTCL bus, which is fantastic. We're very grateful for that, but the service only runs during the week, and it only runs till about 4:30. So for anybody that wants to do anything in the evening or on the weekends, we're very limited.
While all CTCL buses are accessible, she says participants have to rely on each other outside operating hours. Donovan McKay spends about $17 on a cab to get to the NSCC Truro campus. He and others are hoping for expanded public transit in the area.
It's definitely something I think that Truro and other small towns could use. A lot more affordable and easier to get around.
Others in the county agree.
If I didn't use it, I know for sure my family would use it for sure, right? And if they could make it work, yeah, that'd be great.
Truro really isn't well suited for all the traffic that it has. So anything that could, combine people and getting them from point A to point B with less amount of vehicles would be a good thing.
The feasibility study is expected by end of June 2025. To contribute to that, Truro and Colchester are forming an advisory group and hiring a consultant to engage with the community. Luke Ettinger, CBC News, Truro.
It's a busy time of year for socializing, and for those who don't want to drink alcohol, there are more and more options out there, including here at the Soberish Mocktail Shop. And I'm joined by Jay Hiltz, the owner. So what made you decide to open? You've been open, a month?
Yes, this location's been open a month, and it's been a long time in the works, and our business plan sort of kept evolving, but there was watching trends and seeing an opening and a hole here in the marketplace for what we're doing, it seemed like the right time.
And what's the reaction been?
It's been phenomenal. Every day it blows me away by people coming through and how many are saying, I've been sober for 2 years, I just moved here, everyone I meet is sober. For countless different reasons, people have chosen to cut back or reduce or completely eliminate alcohol from their lifestyle.
Well, what makes a great mocktail?
Key ingredients.
So it's not just juice.
No, it's not just juice. Key ingredients and passion.
So what kind of profiles do you like?
In the alcohol world, I go towards gin-based cocktails. I like savory as opposed to sweet. And so when you're playing in this world, there's two approaches. One is like, how close can I replicate the real thing? Or looking at all the different manufacturers that we're finding, it becomes a bit of a hunt and chase to see who's doing the best job out there. So there's that approach, or then you can do it completely wild card and create your own beverage that tastes new and flavorful.
And you've got some friends here?
Yes, these guys are from two sailors bartending. They're helping us build our mocktail menu here, and they're gonna make a twist on a classic French 75.
So French 75 is a sparkling wine cocktail with gin. So we're using this great dry gin, mocked non-alcoholic spirit.
We got a little twist. We got black tea and bergamot syrup, and then classic lemon juice. Here you go.
We're gonna do a full ounce of the fresh lemon juice and quarter ounce of the black tea bergamot syrup. We're gonna give this a little bit of a shake. Just a little bit of a shake to wake up the citrus. This would be more of a sunshine kind of cocktail, but with the black tea bergamot, it's a nice little twist to make it good for the winter months.
Non-alcoholic?
Yes, non-alcoholic this time.
Well, all right, well, let's give it a taste.
Oh, yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's really good, guys.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's so good.
It's a peek at downtown Halifax. Ryan is up next with his full weather forecast. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Not a great day to be out on the go or shopping outside outdoor shops.
Or to be an inflatable Santa.
Oh my heavens. Miserable.
Yeah, definitely, and not getting any better. I mean, we will see a bit of a break early tomorrow morning before that next round of rain rolls in, but even then, we're going to see drizzle, some breezy winds, so it's not really going to be great, but we are looking at some sunshine into the long-range forecast, which is good. Chilly, but sunny.
Okay,
we'll take that. Have a look at our warnings, and yes, we do indeed have freezing rain warnings still in effect from Kings County in Kentville through Hants, Colchester, Cumberland, Pictou, and Antigonish County, all under the freezing rain warning for this evening. And that is right where you can see those temperatures are at and below the freezing mark. And we've got this precipitation moving in. It's falling as rain, but it's falling into those cooler temperatures at the surface. And so the potential for freezing on impact, those icy conditions through the next couple of hours before those temperatures do bump up. And there's the radar indicating that pretty well here, this area in pink, where the rain is running over top and falling into this cooler air here left at the surface. Eventually, the warm air sinks down right down to the surface and will just be rain, and it won't be freezing on impact, but that's going to take some time here over the next couple of hours. So exercise extreme caution if you're going to be traveling in that neck of the woods for this evening. This is the system that's really driving things here, and we've got this cold front stretching out of the Gulf of Mexico, and again, the warm front with those temperatures bumping up here across the Maritimes. Rainfall outlook, a widespread 10 to 20 millimeters looking set with this system for Nova Scotia. Potential for some heavier amounts back through Cumberland County into the western areas of the province where we could see some heavier pockets. There's the freezing rain for the next couple of hours. And again, by the time we get to around 10, 11 o'clock, models indicating that temperatures will have bumped up. But sometimes these things take a little bit longer than forecast, especially with a bit of an easterly wind. It's going to be a slow rise, but certainly by early overnight, we'll have transitioned and we'll have seen those temperatures bump up. Tomorrow morning, we're starting in the 5 to 7 degree range across Nova Scotia, so it is going to be a lot milder than what we've been seeing. Quiet start, and then here comes that rain. By lunchtime, moving into western areas, and we're going to be seeing again, Halifax and then areas east of that line into the afternoon, getting into the rain with this first push, which is going to be moving through from west to east. Now, temperatures will peak in the high single, low double digits by around this time, maybe a little bit later for tomorrow in through Cape Breton. So most of the day, you folks still rising through those single digits, but peaking as we move our way into tomorrow evening. For the mainland and central parts of the mainland, we're talking about temperatures bumping up into the 10 to 12 range here as well by tomorrow evening. And in through the west, the potential for some teens by the time we get to the end of the day tomorrow with those winds gusting 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. So let's pick things up here, 6 o'clock, and let's continue to time things out through tomorrow evening. There are those double digits and even teens by Wednesday evening. Nope, kind of quiet here for a brief break, and then it's cold front time. And the cold front will come through on Thursday morning. We'll time out the winds in a sec. Let's show you those temperatures in the rain first. And you can see by Thursday, even lunchtime, starting to fall here for western areas in the Tri-County area. And then that cold front moves through. The winds go from south to southwest, west to southwest. And we're going to be seeing those temperatures falling all the way through Thursday night. The winds, Tri-County area, this is going to be our best chance of seeing gusts exceeding 90 kilometers per hour in that Tri-County area, and also coastal areas, the Bay of Fundy and along the Atlantic coastline, the Northumberland shore. Widespread gusts with this system Wednesday night and Thursday morning, 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, but 80 to 90 plus along parts of the coast looking possible here. So outage-worthy winds with this system, and then some gusty westerlies ushering in that cooler air behind the cold front. So, and then we all freeze up. Temperatures dropping into Friday morning, and we're staying at and below the freezing mark into the weekend. So make sure that you're ready for the outages and ready for some icy conditions into the weekend, Tom and Amy.
Sounds good.
All
Okay.
right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Coming up, I'll speak to a Dalhousie researcher about the effect vaping and e-cigarettes have on your lungs. A new study out of Dalhousie University has found young people who use electronic cigarettes have worse lung function. The study looked at 41 young adults between 18 and 24 years of age who had used e-cigarettes, which consisted primarily of flavored e-liquids that contained nicotine. Another 38 participants had no history of e-cigarette, tobacco, or cannabis exposure. Dr. Sonia Stanovich is an associate professor in Dal's Department of Community Health and Epidemiology. So what do we now know as a result of your study about what happens to someone's lungs when they vape?
Thanks so much for the question. Well, we're starting to piece things together. This is one study, but what it does provide us is information in terms of where the damage might be happening. And so the tests that we use, the breathing test that we use to measure the effects of vaping, is particularly sensitive at detecting changes in the small airways, those airways that are closest to the alveoli. And what we saw is that people who vape regularly, so that's daily, and who vape 5 or more puffs per hour, these are pretty heavy users. We're already starting to see some effects in the small airways where their lung function was worse than either our healthy control group or individuals who vaped much less frequently.
And so that change to the lung function or lung health, any sense as to whether it's permanent or not?
That's an excellent question. That's actually one of the next things we want to look at. So we know that many people who are using e-cigarettes want to stop. And one of our follow-up studies is going to be to look at individuals kind of while they're using e-cigarettes, and then what happens to them after they stop. We don't know whether it's reversible or whether it's permanent. My big concern is that it's many young people who are using e-cigarettes, and our lungs are still developing in that critical age range. And so even if it may not be permanent or structural, it may influence how the lungs grow and develop. And we may not know for decades whether or not young people who use e-cigarettes today may be predisposed to developing lung disease later on in life.
I know a lot of people talk about vaping and e-cigarettes as maybe an effective way to stop smoking. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when e-cigarettes were first developed, it was a really ingenious way of removing the combustible tobacco, and it was designed as a smoking cessation tool. And I have to be honest, there are many studies out there that demonstrate that in people who use cigarettes today, e-cigarettes are a reasonable alternative or a way to stop smoking. But what we haven't known, and what we still don't know in a definitive way, is whether e-cigarettes are safe and whether or not they introduce different changes in the lung that we may not be detecting because we're not using the right tools to do so. And so anyone who is smoking cigarettes, I'd encourage them to look at lung NSPEI and other programs in the province to help them quit. And e-cigarettes is one option that people can use today amongst a number of other tools that we have to help people stop smoking.
And so when you're using e-cigarettes, physically, what's happening in your lungs? I gather it's similar to tobacco smoking, but is there anything that's particular to the e-cigarettes?
Yeah, it's actually quite different. And this is one of the things that we've been very surprised about. When we use e-cigarettes, we vaporize the liquids, and within that liquid are all kinds of chemicals. Now, in general, those chemicals are safe in that they've been proven by Health Canada and other organizations to be safe to ingest, but we really don't know what happens when they're aerosolized and then inhaled into the lungs. And not only do we have kind of uncertainty in terms of what happens when we inhale flavored particles when they're aerosolized, but also what happens when those particles mix together in that aerosol. And so from studies in animal experiments or cellular studies, we know that there are thousands of chemicals that are produced when we heat and aerosolize these liquids. And what's different about e-cigarettes versus tobacco cigarettes is those particles are really small, so they can travel much deeper into the lung, and they can travel into what we've traditionally been known as the silent zones of the lung, where it's very difficult to measure and detect changes until those changes are permanent or until the damage is much further along.
Right. Look forward to the future research on this topic for sure. Dr. Stanovich, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Still with healthcare, a Nova Scotia collaborative care clinic is shrinking patient wait times and serving as a possible model to solve Atlantic Canada's healthcare crisis.
The clinic is doing this by housing doctors and nurses, mental health clinicians, blood services, and a host of other specialists all under one roof. Kayla Hounsell reports.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Joe.
For an estimated 6.5 million Canadians, this is a scenario they can only dream of. An appointment with a family doctor.
So, what brings you in today?
This man has a range of medical needs.
I'm a complex HIV patient.
And he has access to a range of help right here.
I am able to see my family physician here. I'm able to email the team here whenever I need to, which is also very important when your health gets very complicated very fast. I'm able to see the community nurse. I'm even able to access a food bank that's here.
This is the Clare Health Centre. Known as a collaborative care clinic or health home, it's supposed to be one-stop shopping for healthcare needs. Doctors, nurses, a nurse practitioner, mental health clinicians, a blood collection clinic, as well as visiting dietitians, kinesiologists, and cardiovascular specialists. All under one roof, sharing medical records. Nestled on the picturesque Acadian French shore in southwestern Nova Scotia in the municipality of the District of Clare, population roughly 8,500, its goal is to find a family doctor for every resident. Every single one. A goal now about to be achieved. We're visiting to find out how they're doing it.
Hello, hi, Kayla. Nice to meet you. Same here, I'm Dr. Dow.
It is a project 20 years in the making. The facility opened in 2008, but the planning began earlier when municipal officials realized they were down to just a few family physicians.
Hi, Jack. Comment ça va aujourd'hui?
Bonne. Dr. Michelle Dow has been here since the start.
Tu peux monter en haut. On va faire
practicing in this community for 37 years.
The municipality decided that they would build a medical center and kind of like concept like if we build it, they will come.
And come they did. So many doctors, they're expanding, with this new section set to open within weeks.
So this would be the typical exam room with all new furniture.
Enough space for 5 more doctors.
So how many people in this municipality do not have a family doctor right now?
I say that there are 300 right now that don't have a family doctor, but we have the capacity to take them in, and it's just a matter of them booking the appointments.
So you're confident that within a few months there will be no one on a wait list waiting for a family doctor?
Exactly, yeah.
There are 107 collaborative care teams of varying makeups in Nova Scotia, but this one is unique. It is owned and maintained by the municipality. The Nova Scotia Health Authority did help offset the costs of the expansion, but the municipality put shovels in the ground without waiting for the money.
At the end of the day, there's always risks in anything you do, but it was more of a calculated risk that I couldn't see anybody not being on board recruiting doctors.
And recruit they do.
He takes some supplements.
They track medical students from their communities, stay in touch with them, and send them care packages that include dried fish before exams.
Everything was okay in the blood work, so that's good news.
It worked for Dr. Joel Arsenault. He did some rotations here during his residency and came back.
I want to work here specifically because of the team that was already here.
And how about the fact that this is a collaborative clinic? Did that speak to you when you were choosing, how you want to practice?
It made a big difference, especially starting out practice, because I knew I wanted to be able to bounce ideas off the other doctors, kind of have that low backup or double check if I needed to for the tougher cases.
He says it also helps with work-life balance and provides regular working hours.
There, and I'll get you across your feet. There, perfect.
Robichaud says the approach also saves him a lot of travel to multiple appointments in larger centers.
And the fact that I have less than 5 minutes drive to see the people who have kept me alive, I'm very, very, very lucky that we have a collaborative center here in Clare.
There, so Blood pressure is a little bit high right now.
It takes time to get the right team in place, but the people who work here say if it can work in Clare, it can work anywhere in Canada.
If there's anything, give me a call.
Yeah, I will.
So, and we'll plan to follow up soon.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, President-elect Donald Trump insists Canada needs to crack down on fentanyl at the border.
The suspect accused in the shooting death of a U.S. health insurance CEO makes his first court appearance. Welcome back. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump appears committed to his threat of tariffs on Canadian goods. The basis of the threat is border security and, in particular, drug trafficking.
But as the CBC's Katie Simpson found out, the evidence doesn't support Trump's accusations, and the incoming Trump administration may also be looking for other concessions.
One of the biggest takeaways from the Mar-a-Lago dinner for the Canadian side: how serious Donald Trump is about trying to stop the flow of fentanyl.
I said you have to close up your borders, and drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly.
The president-elect's broad complaints about drugs, lumping problems at the northern and southern border together, have frustrated officials in Ottawa.
Local enforcement or federal enforcement.
And we found, in Washington, bewilderment among some experts at a conference focused on the fentanyl crisis.
It is extraordinary to think that anybody could read any of the data that are available and think that Canada is a threat to the U.S. with respect to fentanyl.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, less than 20 kilograms of fentanyl was seized along the northern border with Canada. Compare that to more than 9,000 kilograms at the southern border with Mexico.
The main source of the fentanyl is outside of Canada and the United States.
And that is?
It's through a collaboration of people in China and Mexico. So that puts Canada and the United States together, sort of on the same side.
So if it's not about fentanyl, what might Trump really be after? According to one of his allies, he could want Canada to make some sweeping changes.
If you don't go after the money, you can't stop drug trafficking.
David Asher led a Trump-era task force on fentanyl. He says Ottawa needs to toughen its racketeering laws and give authorities bold new powers to go after banks involved in money laundering, some of it comparable to the Patriot Act in the U.S.
So Prime Minister Trudeau has the power to fix these things. I think if he goes ahead and announces that he's going to pass new laws and introduce new laws first that address these gaps, it'll help with President Trump, I'm certain.
Other experts we spoke with agree Canada could do more to try to deal with larger systemic issues, cracking down on money laundering and organized crime. In response to Trump's tariff threats, Ottawa is pledging to spend upwards of $1 billion on border security, with major announcements expected by the holiday break. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Donald Trump has resurrected a days-old comment about Canada becoming the 51st state. The remark surfaced during Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's dinner with Trump in Florida last month. Opposition politicians here are using it to question the government's ability to manage the country's relationship with the U.S. CBC's Ashley Burke has the latest.
After Donald Trump made a late-night jab at the Prime Minister,
calling him the governor,
one cabinet minister compared it to a sitcom that famously blamed Canada for America's problems.
It sounds like we're living in an episode of South Park.
Around midnight, Donald Trump posted online, "It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada," and said he looks forward to continuing our in-depth talks about tariffs and trade, the results of which will be truly spectacular for all.
I'm sure not thinking of Justin Trudeau at midnight, so if he's thinking of Justin at midnight, it's probably a good relationship.
A positive spin after Trump's repeatedly poke fun at Canada. At this Mar-a-Lago dinner last month, Trump reportedly joked about Canada becoming America's 51st state. Days later, he posted this AI-generated image that sparked an internet frenzy, teasing about a Canadian takeover.
We're subsidizing Canada.
Then on Sunday, Trump leaned in more while talking to NBC about what he sees as an unfair trade deficit.
If we're going to subsidize them, let it become a state.
Clearly, he's joking. We're a sovereign nation. A lot more.
Trump's latest jab comes after Trudeau warned yesterday a tariff war between the two countries could drive up costs for Americans.
We will, of course, as we did 8 years ago, respond to unfair tariffs.
Sources say cabinet ministers are considering a $1 billion border plan and possible retaliatory tariffs.
We're doing that work right now, and we will have more to say in due course. Mr. Bouleris, what do you think?
But some NDP MPs question Trudeau's ability to manage Trump.
We can see right now that President Trump doesn't respect Mr. Trudeau, and it worries me.
I don't think Mr. Trudeau's handling the domestic political situation well. I have less confidence he'll be able to do it internationally.
The Prime Minister is expected to speak to premiers tomorrow about Trump and the border. Ontario's premier says the government promised to present a plan laying out its approach to negotiations with the U.S. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The man accused of killing a health insurance executive in Manhattan has been denied bail while he fights extradition back to New York. Luigi Mangione is in custody in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested Monday. The CBC's Chris Reyes has the latest.
A dramatic moment as Luigi Mangione went into his extradition hearing in Pennsylvania, shouting and struggling. He yells something about insulting the intelligence of the American people and lived experience before 3 police officers pushed him into the building.
Oh my God, that's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
The 26-year-old is in custody in connection to the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Thompson was gunned down last week on the sidewalk outside a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Mangione is also facing firearm charges in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested on Monday at a local McDonald's. More details have surfaced about Mangione, an Ivy League graduate from a wealthy family with businesses in long-term health care facilities. Mangione's former classmate, Freddie Leatherberry, says he's shocked by all of it.
This is one of the last people you'd think would do something like this. You know, he was one of the nicest kids, most friendly kids that I had known at Gilman.
Mangione's lawyer has 2 weeks to challenge the extradition, while Pennsylvania authorities are working to secure a governor's warrant to speed up the process of sending Mangione back to New York. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Thousands of Southern California residents are under evacuation order because of a fast-moving wildfire. It also caused some frightening moments for students at Pepperdine University who were forced to shelter in place. Aaron Collins reports.
Fire burning so hot, it looks like lava. Those tasked with fighting it looking on. California's wildfire season peaking all around them. Nearly 20,000 residents of the affluent hills around Malibu forced from their homes.
I woke up and she was yelling that we need to get out of here. And across the canyon, the flames were just crazy. So we gathered our pets, our essentials, and living here for 19 years, you have a plan.
Many areas around Malibu surrounded by flames overnight. Students at nearby Pepperdine University forced to shelter in place.
We're supposed to go to the cafeteria, but we just decided to get off campus because we didn't want to risk anything.
It's burning over the bluff.
This year's fire season has already been a tough one in the state. The number of fires and the acres burnt both above the 5-year average, according to CAL FIRE.
If you need a little bit more time to evacuate, now is the time.
And it's not over yet. Firefighters struggling to get a handle on the latest fire to cause chaos in California, Canada playing its part.
You'll see that our CL415 Super Scoopers that we lease from the province of Quebec are out there dropping, and we're going to have a coordinated ground and air assault. We'd really like to button this fire up and get some containment by this afternoon.
This fire, like most that roar through California this time of year, fanned by the powerful Santa Ana winds. Where it goes from here will in large part be determined by where those winds blow. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
A Canadian who pioneered research into artificial intelligence was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics today. Geoffrey Hinton is Professor Emeritus at the University of Toronto, where there was a celebration today. The CBC's Ithel Musa was there.
Referred to as the godfather of artificial intelligence, British-Canadian scientist Geoffrey Hinton was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics today, alongside co-laureate John Hopfield in Stockholm. Here at the University of Toronto, where Hinton once taught, admirers cheered.
We should take every opportunity we have to celebrate great Canadians, especially these times, right? There's a lot of bad news out there.
Aswani Pulipaka's family took the day off to celebrate Hinton's groundbreaking research that helped shape AI.
AI is very cool because it's like another human who kind of knows the future.
On behalf of the royal...
It's an achievement Hinton admits he never could have predicted, but he says getting here took a lot of perseverance.
This is the result of 50 years ago, having an idea of a problem that needed to be solved, and just sticking with it for 50 years, even though most people in the field of AI and computer science said that what we were doing was nonsense.
Last year, Hinton left his role at Google so he could speak more openly about the dangers of AI.
I think there's a chance they'll take control, and it's a significant chance. It's not like 1%, it's much more.
It's something this former colleague recognizes alongside the potential benefits of Hinton's research into machine learning.
All powerful things are amplifiers, but it's what they amplify that matters. And so they can amplify great good, for example, medical treatment, but they could also be used for bad things, such as autonomous weapons.
Half of Hinton's share of the prize money will go towards boosting Indigenous access to water. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
The honours keep coming for Canadian swimmer Summer McIntosh. The 18-year-old from Toronto has received the 2024 North Star Award as Canada's Athlete of the Year for her outstanding performance at the Paris Olympics. She won 3 gold medals and a silver at the Summer Games. And McIntosh has also set a new world record at the World Aquatics Championships in Hungary.
And we're underway in the women's 400-meter freestyle.
McIntosh led from start to finish, taking the women's 400-meter freestyle in a world record time of 3 minutes, 50.25 seconds. She cut more than a second off the old record. It's her first individual short course gold medal. McIntosh picks up $25,000 US for the record. Fellow Canadian Mary Sophie Harvey of Trois-Rivières won bronze in the event.
Canada's main stock index lost more than 100 points today ahead of an expected interest rate cut tomorrow. While the U.S. markets were also down, here's a look at the numbers as we head to break. Okay, we need a break from the rainy, dreary weather.
Yeah.
You do say there's sunshine somewhere down the road.
Yeah. Taking the long view.
The magnifying glass or
Friday,
the telescope.
Yeah, it's only a couple days away. Friday, Saturday,
Yep.
Sunday,
Okay.
nice stretch shaping up. And hey, why not for the weekend,
Sure.
right? That's also when we'll also start to see scenes like this again, which are icy ones. And yes, we're going to zoom in on Bell Lake. Now, this is not to be confused with Bell Lake in Dartmouth. This is Bell Lake in Porter's Lake. And a beautiful shot
Very
here.
nice. Not quite
Janice
skating
Young.
on that.
No, you
Level
wouldn't
fan.
be
not
careful
quite yet.
on that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But obviously some ice over lakes on the weekend, and yes, this coming weekend as well, as you'll see with the 7-day forecast. Thank you so much, Janice, for sharing. There are the showers that are rolling through tonight. That freezing rain warning continues in the north. Then we're looking at things bumping up temperature-wise overnight. That next round of rain rolls in from west to east throughout the day tomorrow. And then a bit of a break again. Those southerly winds on the increase Wednesday night in through Thursday. That front takes us from double digits in the morning back down to the low single digits by Thursday evening and below freezing with a few flakes by Friday morning as things get icy. And then, yes, really chilly for Friday night. Let's time out the winds one more time. There is Wednesday afternoon. And again, we're going to be looking at those gusts really ramping up once again from west to east. Note the Tri-County area. Digby, Yarmouth, Shelburne counties, even through the valley and along the Atlantic coastline, the Northumberland shore. I mean, we're all going to be gusty, but for sure those exposed coastal areas will be most likely to see those gusts exceeding 80, approaching 90 kilometers per hour. As you saw there earlier, Tri-County area possibly could see some gusts near 100 kilometers per hour. So it is going to be windy for sure. So prepare for some potential for some power outages, then prepare for some icy conditions, which will continue through the weekend. But hey, at least we'll need the sunglasses.
Yes, hey,
That's true.
We're all right with that. Okay, if you are looking for a new tablet for Christmas that's thin and lightweight, this one's not for you.
This stone weighs 115 pounds. It measures about 20 by 22 inches. And in fact, this is exactly the same measurements that the rabbis in the early first centuries agreed was the measurements of the original 10 Commandments that Moses carried down from the Mount.
It is the earliest known stone tablet inscribed with the 10 Commandments. It dates back about 1,500 years. Interestingly, the tablet only contains 9 of the original 10 Commandments from the book of Exodus.
The rare stone will hit the auction block at Sotheby's, New York later this month with pre-sale estimates around $1 to $2 million. Is that more than the banana taped to the wall?
Perhaps it is. Yeah, a little more history.
All right, that's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.